You totally fucked up. There you go. There you go. That's good. Now we're live. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Screw that. All right. Welcome, guys. We're here with Steem, talking about Steem. got a steamy pile of Blocktalk going on here. Welcome. We are a T-minus 86 blocks till the halving. Like, this is, I'm pretty excited. You know, 420,000 blocks. Yeah, 420. Yeah, so we got a couple, well, we have one sponsor for the show tonight. He chose to remain anonymous, but he wanted to, I guess, let everyone know that he's looking for a Bitcoin dev, or not even a dev. He's looking for developers. So if you know Node.js, or you're the type of person who likes to program their own wallet because you feel that's the most trusted way to do your own mobile wallet, get in touch with Blocktalk. Check out the email below. Send your resume. Or if you guys even have cool ideas, like SteemIt was brought to me by Jimmy in the Jump Up Slack, another awesome sponsor. So thanks for Jimmy for setting this all up. And yeah, without further ado, we got some beers flowing through. We got our Bitcoin address here. I'll post it in the chat of for the beer machine for our live audience. And I got some of your questions here, guys, from the post that was on the platform. So really excited to get into it. All right, so as you guys saw before, hi, I'm Alex. I got some friends around here. I promise I do. Yeah, see, there's one. He's real. And we got some friends in Vancouver. Wave hello, D-Control. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yo. That's where the beers will go if you guys send some $3 Canadian in Bitcoin to that address. Anyways, who else do we got here? Oh, yeah, it's Ned and Dan. What's going on, guys?
Hey, guys. How are you?
Fantastic. Where are you calling from today?
Calling from Blacksburg, Virginia.
Ah, Blacksburg. That's why my joke earlier wasn't funny. Okay. Anyways, yeah, I'm super happy to have you guys on the show here, like, because this is a pretty cool idea. I told some of my friends here about it. They're avid Redditors, and I said, this platform seems a lot like Reddit, and it's kind of taken off a little bit. It's getting traction. I first saw some links scattered about, but can you guys, I guess, give us a rundown, your little pitch of what is SteemIt?
Sure. So I think that you hit the nail on the head. For what Steem is today, it's a decentralized Reddit. It's a decentralized social network. I think that if you're a Redditor, you really stand to get a very similar experience to Reddit. The difference is the entire network is built on a blockchain, and anyone who's into Bitcoin is familiar with the idea that you have this immutable data, right? So one of the advantages of SteemIt is that it's uncensorable. So if a post goes up to the blockchain, it stays on the blockchain. So you can't have censorship. You don't have moderation in the same way. But what may be cooler is people actually get paid to post. So if people upvote, some blog post you put up, you can earn
hundreds of dollars.
You can earn Steem worth hundreds of dollars sometimes.
Keyword there being sometimes. So yeah, I noticed you guys have like the dollar amount. So like, how are you guys kind of fixing the price? Like, if you look on the page, if you go to SteemIt.com, you'll see posts that have like $200 of, I guess, upvotes, if you want to call them that. Can you kind of explain, is that actually $200, or how is that price kind of being determined there?
That price is based on the 1 week moving average of what Steem is trading for on the open market. So based on what you see it trading on the exchanges, we have the elected block producers publishing feeds onto the blockchain. We're using that feed to determine the value of the posts. But what's interesting is that not only are we displaying it in terms of dollars, users are actually paid in what we call Steem dollars. A Steem dollar is always convertible to a dollar's worth of Steem using the same price feed. So when you get paid, you don't need to sell or worry about price fluctuations. You've got a currency that is in units you know and understand.
Yeah, I think that's one of the cool parts about the usability of it. Hey, Dusty, what's going on? Hey. So you guys are kind of getting that data from somewhere, like to get a moving average of 1 week. Where are you guys pulling that data from? Like, how reliable is it?
Well, right now, Steem's listed on Bittrex exchange, and it's also on the BitShares exchange. So those are the two price feeds. But we also have an internal exchange between Steem dollars and Steem right on the Steem blockchain. So there's a wide number of block feed producers, each of which uses their own weighting algorithm. Some of it's entered manually, some of it's automated. There's checks and balances there, but there's a diverse number of people involved. And by using the median, we guarantee that the price is reasonable and it is relatively safe from any type of market manipulation of the price feed.
So you mentioned BitShares, and I guess you guys are both kind of involved in the BitShares project. Can you guys kind of talk about the partnership and everything, or if there is even one?
Sure. Yeah, that's more Dan's territory. Dan was the creator of the BitShares platform. It's incredible, an incredible piece of technology that has, led to a lot of the innovations that we brought to the table with Steem. Both really excellent projects in the space. But Dan, if you have any other,
BitShares was the original DAC. It's where we learned a lot of lessons about how to improve blockchain technology. A lot of things we learned from BitShares have found their way into Steem to help build a robust community of people around the currency.
So do you guys view this kind of as a replacement for BitShares, or is it kind of an app that runs with BitShares or kind of adds more value to it?
So both chains, solve some really incredible problems. BitShares, came to market as the first decentralized exchange during a time when we were seeing Mt. Gox and Cryptsy and all these other exchanges go under. And the idea that we could have one of these things built directly into the blockchain where you couldn't have your funds stolen was, it was pretty groundbreaking, and it still is. Steem approaches a completely different problem. We're talking about social media. We're talking about giving the power of social media back to the people and giving people a way to earn for their contributions without a middleman, without advertising. It's a completely new concept. I think that they're both excellent examples of innovations that can change the way people work in this world.
Now, I guess one of the most interesting things about it is that it seems like it's highly viral. Like I've seen these links kind of popping up a lot around, and that's when even before I really knew about you guys, I'm like, okay, I heard the Steem thing launch, and then I see links floating around. I'm like, that's a good sign. You guys are kind of definitely promoting a viral app, but you're doing it through something that's kind of really inflationary. Like you're creating a lot of currency. Like I just read an article, you guys gave away $1.3 million in your currency. How are you supporting that at market?
So with Steem, we recognize that we want to have a lot of long-term interest. So we're creating a lot of currency, but most users, 99%, have their Steem committed to the platform for an average of 2 years, or average of 1 year. Which means that there's not a lot of sell pressure. People have a long-term interest. They can't just get scared in the market and sell. So it kind of gives a stability to the overall platform of Steem. At the end of the day, the model of Steem is really no different than the model of Bitcoin. About 10% of the supply is given to new users. All the other currency that's created in the system is really just an accounting artifact. So in terms of reallocation of wealth in the system, it's about 10% inflation. That's like taking the Bitcoin mining rewards and allocating them by a subjective proof of work, by the voting on what content people like. And it's just a different metric for distributing the currency that produces as a byproduct content content that's valuable to people who don't even own Steam, people who just want to read interesting stuff on the internet, people who are searching Google, find Steam, because our proof of work is producing this byproduct, which has all these links floating around that you're seeing. It's not because we're really pushing it heavily. It's because our users are writing the content and they're sharing it with their friends.
Right. We've got a great user base. You know, I think that the early adopters who have come to the platform realize that there's something new and unique here and something they can be a part of and take advantage of. And so, you know, we really have to give credit to the incredible user base that has shown up so far. That's the primary reason any of us have seen those links out there.
Yeah, I gotta say, I've actually come across some really cool YouTubers that I'm hoping to have on the show here. Yeah, because that's one thing I kind of hated about traditional Reddit is I never liked posting my show to it because there really wasn't a good spot for it. Like Reddit is kind of bad for cryptocurrency news. It's one thing I think I've learned in my 2 years in the space now. It's like the last forum or last place that things seem to get to. Like Twitter seems to be the first maybe, but you guys maybe are even transcending that now, where you're kind of in that feedback loop of information and good ideas and everything. Oh, and also, yeah, you mentioned interest rate. So in 86 blocks here, we're changing to 4.3 or 4.15 is the interest rate I calculated. Someone maybe can correct me on that, but yeah, go Bitcoin. Anyways, Craig, you had a good question about, okay, your least favorite thing about Reddit is reposting. And I actually noticed that somebody posted sorry, let me phrase it differently.
Sure. Essentially, my least favorite part about Reddit is the term, or what they would say, karma whoring, like fake internet points. And now what I understand is what you're proposing with Steam is that you're actually going to get paid for your post. So it's not karma anymore. It's for real. So how will how will this system promote better content? Like if it's sort of a Reddit system, how will the people who are just reposting the same thing or their silly systems to get the fake karma, how will this be better?
Right.
Well, for starters, we already have people trying to do some of that, and what happens is users will reply with a comment saying, hey, this was originally posted here. The person who makes the money is the person who reports the abuse, reports the reposting, and directs users to the original content. And everyone has a financial incentive in the platform. So whereas on Reddit, you might not care if you're harming Reddit as a result of your karma whoring. You're getting the attention you desire. But on SteemIt, you don't want to take actions that devalue the karma that you're earning. You want to be a little bit more careful and a little more thoughtful because your reputation matters. If you start getting a reputation like this, you're going to get downvoted. You're going to lose earning power. The other thing that we do is it's not one person, one vote. It's more like one Steam, one vote, which means that the people who have more at stake have more financial interest in making sure that the system is properly released.
Right. Basically, the community wants original content because that's what's most valuable to the new users coming in, and therefore is the most valuable to the people doing the upload. So they do a vetting process. And,
I actually noticed that, yeah, with somebody. I kind of searched up Blocktalk on the platform before the show, and somebody actually did post a link, or the YouTube link for my show on it. So, but then I looked, and the first comment was, "Oh yeah, go here, and you'll see the official thing." And you kind of see that on Reddit too. Occasionally, it's like, "Here's the official thread," or "Here's the main story." But what was your question, Craig? It was like, how are you verifying that it's the repost?
Yeah, if people are sort of saying this is a repost in like the comments section you mentioned, who's proofing that like the person who's saying it is a repost was correct? Like, how is this moderated? I'm still,
Everything's on the blockchain. So you have this immutable record of which came first. It's really a social phenomena of you're giving out currency, and people don't like to see someone getting something for nothing. In fact, if people see someone profiting unfairly, it really makes them angry. It makes them angry enough that they're downvoted, they'll go into our Slack and say, hey, there's some abuse over here, and it gets cleaned up real quick because no one wants to see someone earning something undeserved. So what we're noticing is a culture that's developing that's slightly different than Reddit. In Reddit, you post a link, and that's all you do. That's relatively low amount of work of the user. On Steam, if you're going to post a link, you better post a summary, why you think other people should read it, a quick review, or it's not going to get the attention. So it really is people looking at other people who bring value to the community. And when you bring value, you get votes. If you don't bring value, you don't get votes. Over time, that's going to reinforce the positive behavior because people are going to stop submitting things that aren't actually earning them things, and they're focused more on the things that are more successful.
Yeah, and I think you kind of see that on Reddit, but it's very sparse. It is done for the karma. That's really, I guess.
Well, the biggest difference I think would be Reddit's like many years old, and new users would not see the years of content Reddit has already put out.
Yeah.
So I guess with Steam it would be having the benefit of being newer.
Yeah.
And those users would either recognize the content that has already been posted.
Well, and sometimes
the biggest difference.
a repost does have value too, right? Like
the SteemIt community also appreciates brand new original content. So what we've noticed is, reposting links doesn't have the same effect that it might have on Reddit, where a link can go viral. On SteemIt, it's much more, did you create something new for this community? Did you bring some unique value that can't be found elsewhere? Something that's so unique that it would bring new people to the platform from other places. So it's a different effect. There's a higher threshold, a higher level of quality needed.
I'd say there's another aspect to Steam that is sort of in the background. Unlike Reddit, our entire database, the blockchain, is public. Everyone can analyze it. Everyone can write scripts to process it, filter it. They can create bots to vote things. They can create bots that read everything, check for plagiarism, check for reposting, and automatically post corrections, automatically downvote. And there's financial incentive in the system to do this. So you can actually get a whole lot of entrepreneurs, other sites mirroring the content and providing different views, different ways of bringing things to the user's attention.
You mentioned bots and everything. So is there any sort of system in place that makes it better to be one person who's well known rather than a network of several thousand users? Or is there even a cost to being a user? I'd be really interested to know if there is. How do you make it more human? I guess.
Right. So similar to Twitter. If you're on Twitter, you get the little verified account, right? The little blue icon. And this is a real person. Well, there's a similar phenomenon going on SteemIt where the users who are recognized, recognized for their brand as an individual or even their pseudonymous brand, as long as they have developed that brand and have shown their uniqueness, they're more likely to be valued. That's the human element there. So on posting, you can't just be anonymous and do as well as you could if you have proven that you're a real person.
Craig just brought up another excellent point of I almost forget it now.
It seems like your system is rewarding people who are developers who have a background in Bitcoin knowledge, as opposed to someone who is coming onto this as stumbling across your website or your system just on the internet. Like they wouldn't know to create any of these filters or anything like that. Like it would just.
So Dan mentioned all those things. There's a lot of cool analytical tools that can be built in, but I would like to point out that what we saw over the last 3 months was a host of regular people showing up and taking advantage of this. One of the top earners of that first rewards pool from Steam was a woman not quite in our generation who had stumbled upon us after reading an article on Google, and I believe she pocketed about $12,000. And that was all by showing up every day and posting about herself and her life and her perspective. It had nothing to do with cryptocurrency.
In fact, that's one of the biggest things we've noticed on our platform is that the ratio of men to women is a lot more balanced on Steem than anywhere else. We're finding that people who would never get into cryptocurrency are getting into cryptocurrency because of our platform.
Oh yeah, like I was joking around with Ashley over there. She's lounging, but you could start like a knitting blog or something, and you might get way more traction because it is such a new platform that is rewarding. But I'm really curious to know, have you guys seen anyone posting GitHubs or like hey, here's a a mobile app I wrote for SteemIt. Check it out, guys. Here's the code. Here's the app. All that jazz.
Oh yeah. In the same way that Bitcoin is, this open source, entrepreneurs, dream. Steem is similar. It's completely open source, and it's available for entrepreneurs to come and play with and build on. So we've seen statistics websites. We've seen cross-posting apps, that will take your stuff from Reddit and put it on Steem and vice versa. And
notification services that will send you text messages monitoring the blockchain. Block explorers that go and show you the very inner details of all the stuff that we actually hide from the regular interface. You really want to get into the inner workings. Entire new market pages. People who build apps, people create songs and videos and artwork for Steem. Those who go out there and do promotions and then blog about it, they get upvotes. So you can do a hangout like this and you're going to get a lot of upvotes. You host a meetup in your town and you blog about it, you get upvotes. So it's really subjective proof of work. People aren't necessarily just evaluating what you're writing. They're evaluating what did you do for the community. So we've got people who have found bugs, fixed it, and then wrote about what they did and how they did it, and they've made thousands of dollars. So it's incredibly profitable to join the community, submit pull requests, get it merged in, blog about it. You're going to get upvoted. People are going to appreciate you. It's a very organic, subjective, flexible way of recognizing the value that each individual is bringing to Steem.
Yeah, we're getting a good buzz of conversation going here. The other guys jump back in the room. But you mentioned earlier, okay, BitShares is a DAC, a decentralized autonomous corporation, and one of the big parts of the DAO that everyone kind of learned about is proposals. Like proposals are, where do we put money to improve the platform? Do you guys kind of view these posts as proposals in the DAC that you're creating? Is that kind of the whole goal of this?
Well, BitShares has had proposals, worker proposals, for over a year, and before that we had witnesses that would get elected. What we learned from BitShares is that that's a very centralized process. Getting everyone in the entire community to agree to vote on this proposal or that proposal is time-consuming and contentious. And ultimately, people would rather not vote on things than to vote on one proposal or the other. With Steem, what we did is we had an algorithm that automatically divided up the money based upon the votes, so that people didn't have to decide where to go. It's just all relative. And it's all, we try to make it so that you could fund millions of users rather than just a couple proposals. And we did that by every user's vote has a certain amount of spending authority. But you get more spending authority the more consensus you have. So jumping in here, I think it's an excellent analogy, Alex. The idea that this is some new sort of DAO where everything is a proposal. It's very informal though. It's less about bringing a proposal and promises of future work, like building a company, as in the case of the DAO. And it's more about bringing information that is valuable to everyone who's a part of the community. So it's a different sort of information, and it's much lower barrier to entry, which is why we think it's got real potential. Ned always says it better than I can.
Oh, yeah, Craig's just checking it out. It looks really good on mobile, I must say. What do you think, Craig, as a web developer? You think they've kind of got a nice, clean interface? Because you guys have done this on a blockchain, so anyone can really build their own interface to read the blockchain, right?
That's right. Anyone could come along and build a competing app, and they could outdo us. They could build a new style interface, something that looks more like Medium. You know, pick whatever you like, and you can build it.
It's like how rudimentary it is. It's already better than Reddit's mobile site.
They don't really have an official one, do they? There's no.
I think they do now. They actually have it, like, so it actually will scale down, but it sucks.
Well, yeah. If you compare Reddit as a DAO to, Steam as a DAO, okay, the upvote economy is highly inflationary, and there's no value. There's Reddit Gold, which I think I've gotten like 3 times or something, but I don't think that adds any value to my experience. It's a really weird platform, and like I think a lot of people are frustrated with Reddit. So if you guys kind of are in a key position for when Reddit has another PMS stage about censorship and stuff, and you might be onto something here. So you guys built the SteemIt.com platform, right?
That's right, yeah.
So do you guys censor any of the blockchain posts that are coming on it? Like you choose not to read something about, a shooting or something that you don't like? Or
so that's really, it's not something we've done, and it's certainly not in our best interest. It's kind of the case where if there were to be any censorship, anyone who is on the platform can look at the blockchain, look at our site, and say, hey, look, these guys have censored this content. Here's what they censored. Why would they have censored this? And it just opens us up to not be as competitive in the marketplace. If we're going to be out there censoring this open and public database, then someone can come along and not censor and be better than we are.
What we do is we allow the users voting. If they downvote something, we'll collapse it or minimize it, or click to reveal if it gets downvotes. So it's kind of user moderated, but you can still get to all the data. We don't delete it, and we try to make sure that content gets filtered into where the people only see what they want to see.
Right. We are a United States-based company, and there are certain things that would not be allowable. And of course, being where we are, and the type of company we are, we would hide it, but it would be very transparent as to why it was hidden.
And what was hidden.
Right.
Interesting. Well, yeah, someone can easily come along and make a real kid-friendly platform. It's like, this is cute animal Steam, and like all you're gonna get is censored posts of cute animals. Anyways, we're kind of hogging a lot of the questions here. I might actually go to Decontrol Vancouver over there if you guys have any questions.
Hey, yeah. I'm just wondering, you talk about these, our beer machine's going crazy. You talk about all these like really good properties of blockchain, like the inability to censor things, the irreversibility of it. What, in your view, or how does the blockchain accomplish these goals, in your view?
Well, I think Dan can give you a great technical answer there, but the blockchain, it's a new type of database in that it's immutable. Things can go in, but they can't come out. And the way we leverage the blockchain, we've found ways to take advantage of that property, such that we have the immutability. But you can still go back and edit your post. It's just that the entire post before the edit is also available. There's still perfect immutability, but we've struck a balance where we have functionality at the same time.
It's kind of like how GitHub manages to make your source code history immutable because you've got every change. It's the same thing there. The property of the immutability of blockchain.
The immutability of the blockchain actually comes from proof of work. It comes from energy being used so that clients can know the chain that has used the most work is the chain that is the valid chain. Does SteemIt use proof of work?
There is an element of proof of work in the system. You can actually mine Steem. 1 out of every 20 blocks is produced by a miner. So you can look at it and look at the computation to know that a minimum amount of effort. It also has other properties, including transactions as proof of stake. Every single time a user signs a transaction, they're also including a recent block hash. And because our users are very active, they're basically certifying the blockchain continuously. And this is in addition to the delegated proof of stake system that we have. So
end of a reorganization, all the transactions that we're signing on the block that is now invalid is an invalid transaction?
That is correct. If you have a org, then transactions are not portable between them. But the algorithm used by the blockchain means that you never have a reorg of more than 1 or 2 blocks, and blocks are every 3 seconds. So you would reference a block that's 10 blocks old, and that would be movable between blockchains. So we have a very reliable, consistent, predictable, exactly every 2 seconds there's a new block, with no randomness at all in the timing of blocks being introduced. There's no competition for the same slot. But there is proof of work. You do mine, CPU mining, and you get rewarded with schemes for doing this proof of work.
So, can you talk a bit more about that 1 in 20 blocks? How did you kind of weave that in? Is it sort of random, or is it literally 1 in every 20?
Right. So this model here is actually a hybrid between proof of work and delegated proof of stake. So delegated proof of stake is essentially a block production consensus model with more predictability, with more predictable block producers. Yeah. And then Dan should probably finish it.
So what we did is we separated the selection, the proof of work, from the scheduling of when the block should be done. So every 21 blocks, the Steem network deterministically selects 21 people to take turns signing blocks. Those 21 people are randomly shuffled. Of those 21, 19 are elected by proof of approval voting, proof of stake. One of them is elected by mining. So when you're mining on the platform, you're creating a transaction, and you submit your proof of work as a transaction to the network. And when you get included in the network, it puts you in a queue. So when your time comes, you have to produce your block at an exact moment in time. So we've separated the proof of work submission from the time at which you actually sign a block, and that gives us consistent predictability. So we select one proof of work miner every round, and that miner is randomly selected. But it's not like, oh, I found the hash, submit it. And our proof of work algorithm is heavily geared toward latency. You've got 3 seconds to receive a block, find the proof of work, sign a transaction, and broadcast the transaction to be included by the next block producer, which means your proof of work is not just CPU, it's also network and latency.
Right, and you know, speaking of mining and the queue, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Firesticken. He's from Norway. He sang the shitcoin song. He just came out with a song on SteemIt called, I guess it's called the SteemIt song.
In the queue again.
It's called, yeah, it's in the queue again. But you know, if you're on the site, I think you'll see it near the top anyway.
There's more information in the Steem white paper on the proof of work algorithm, but it's sufficient to say that it would be computationally expensive and economically expensive to forge the blockchain.
So can you talk about clients? How you know, where are users split between just users who are using a website and sort of full node versus miners? Is it a desktop app that people will mine with versus some sort of web client that signs things? Where is the data stored, like in a decentralized way?
Sure. We have full nodes, and there's hundreds of full nodes out there. Every miner is a full node. The block producers are full nodes. The exchanges run full nodes, and SteemIt runs full nodes. And they're there to validate transactions. You can have a wallet that runs on the command line and does everything from the command line on your own machine. But most users currently just use the SteemIt.com website, which is kind of like a blockchain.info. It allows you to explore the blockchain and manages your keys. The keys don't come to us; they stay in the browser. So it's sort of a light client model. You're trusting SteemIt to report blockchain status, but the reality is that you could run the exact same thing on your own machine, and that at some point in the near future, we will be open sourcing the SteemIt source code itself, which means if you wanted to run a local copy of the SteemIt website, you could.
Can you talk a little bit about the network dynamics? Like, how big are the blocks, and what exactly is a block? How is this information serialized?
Wow, these are very technical questions.
Glad you came on.
Yeah, Decentral is our technical expert here, or Decontrol. Yeah, and on my end here, I got all the Redditors, so we'll see. We might come back here
Fundamental
again.
knowledge.
Yeah.
A block is a group of transactions. Each transaction is a group of operations. And every block references the previous blocks by hash. So blocks come out every 3 seconds. The size of the block, the headers are relatively small. You've got a 65-byte signature plus some data. So blocks are signed by witnesses as they're produced, and they just include the transactions right in the block. It's a relatively straightforward serialization thing. You'd have to look at the code to see how it's serialized, but everything is easy to interact with based on.
Words. Why are you using that?
Sorry, I'm getting actually technical questions from one of my Redditors here. Well, these guys are all my electrical engineering buddies. Dustin, what's your question?
Why would you go with 65 bytes when you could just, get away with 64 and use, how many double words is that? 8?
Do you catch that?
So the blockchain right now is a couple hundred megabytes on disk after a couple months of operation. We're getting a transaction rate right now, which appears to be
it's performing very well, up there with some of the top performing blockchains. I think we're pushing into 60,000 transactions per day.
Yeah, so we're doing tens of thousands of transactions per day for the past several days, and that's really very conservative of what the blockchain is capable of. Under the BitShares network, we did performance testing where we were able to do thousands of transactions per second sustained on public test networks distributed across the globe. So we know that this can scale, and we've also looked at Reddit, how many votes per day they have, how many posts per day, and we've determined that they would require about 200 transactions per second on average to handle Reddit scale, and we know that the blockchain has been tested and is capable of supporting multiple times the transaction volume of Reddit.
Now, what's the current transaction rate you guys are kind of seeing with your platform? How close are you to that 200 transactions per second that Reddit has?
We're a long way from that, but you can go to Steeml.com, STEEMLE.com. They've got a chart section, and you can look at the transactions per day, and you see we're at 60K. 80K is about 1 transaction per second on average, and that's there. So right now, like today we had 500 accounts created. We had 15,000 votes cast today alone from users interacting with the website. And you have to view each one of these votes as a microtransaction. They're micropayments from the voter to the author. And so these are real economic activity on the blockchain. This is only a couple months old, and it's really setting new highs for cryptocurrency projects out there.
I had a question here about kind of going back to the whole DAO conversation again. Like we heard from Griff Green, there are a couple different ways they can vote, and downvoting or voting no on a proposal is very different than just not voting at all. Can you guys kind of talk about how a downvote, like, can you get negative money on these things like that? I think that'll be hilarious if you can.
Well, the way we set it up is when you receive an upvote, you don't actually get the payment until up to 24, maybe a little bit longer afterward, which means there's always a period of time after an upvote during which a corresponding downvote can come in. So until the review period has passed, downvote does take away value. But once you've been paid out, you can't be hurt by voting.
You can never, your post value can never go below 0. So yes, as long as you're positive, you get a reward from the blockchain. So it's a little different from the DAO and voting against proposals. But one thing we have learned is downvotes are bad. The only thing that they really should be used for in the platform are to moderate spam.
Spam and abuse.
Spam and abuse. Because what we realized is there's a really strong humanness to the platform, and downvoting is a sort of action that represents a real heavy hand in the real world. So there's some interesting dynamics with voting, definitely.
Yeah, actually, we kind of had a response here. Well, just the sound of no real negative downvoting. I think trolls everywhere are crying. They want to try and crash the platform from having, I want to have the biggest negative balance possible. But Craig, you kind of had another question. It was, please say it. Jump on in, Cam. Here, let's go.
If you have a self-assigned worth to a post, like you automatically get X amount of Steam dollars or whatever, what's stopping people from, like, it's impossible to essentially not make money, right?
Yeah.
Well, the blockchain is creating, a certain number of new Steam and Steam dollars per day. So no matter what, that Steam is going to be created, and it has to be distributed to the posters and voters. So what's really happening is there's an open competition, and people are showing up to provide the best posts, and if they have the best posts, they get the biggest piece of that pie. So in one sense, yes, that money is guaranteed to be paid out, but it's not guaranteed to be paid to any particular person.
It works like proof of work, where as competition increases, the profitability or the difficulty increases. Profitability goes down, difficulty goes up. You have to work harder to get votes. And just because you're someone like us who has a large stake and we can vote, it doesn't guarantee that you can vote for yourself and put money in your pocket. Because anyone who sees you voting on stuff that's just going to profit you, it's not providing value to the community, that's going to get noticed. People are going to tell others, and you're going to get a whole bunch of people coming down and shutting you down.
Well, I think I'll quote someone from Decontrol there, Andrew Wagner. He was on the Breakout show, and he loves gaming coins. And you know what? This doesn't sound like proof of work or proof of stake. This sounds like proof of play or like proof of human or something. Proof of interaction, proof of social. Because you're given a certain amount of the block size. Because it changed now. Like 75% of the block goes to whoever made the post or the author, right? And then like the other 25% goes to the miners.
It's not necessarily about the blocks. It's about the posts, right?
Okay.
A block can have many different posts included in it. But yes, it's very gamified. So when you vote on something, if you're one of the first to vote on it, and a lot of people vote on it after you, you can actually make money just by voting. Now, if you're the last person to vote on it, you don't make as much, or next to anything. So there's this competition to both discover the content and produce the content, and also an encouragement to be engaged in the platform. Because if you're not engaged, then you're leaving all these voting rewards on the table for other people to collect.
Yeah, that's definitely cool. Craig, I think he agrees with that sentiment. No matter what you guys do, like I think if you own Bitcoin right now and you're kind of looking at Steam like, oh, this is okay, you guys are bringing some serious information to the table. Like you're adding value to Bitcoin in ways that I think nobody can comprehend right now. Because like you're this media platform has definitely got potential. I think you guys have the economy figured out right. If I do say so myself, like I said before, it's highly inflationary, but you're holding pretty good value when I look at the chart. Do you guys have any elements of it that are kind of deflationary? Like, is there any way that coins are kind of burned, or like they're lost forever, or the supply is kept to a minimum?
Not really, because our whole philosophy is everyone's bringing something to the table, and everyone needs to get a share proportional to what they bring. If you get a bunch of investors together to start a company, everyone puts something in and they get shares. You don't want to create a system that expects people to bring value to your company but not get shares for it. People don't bring value. And that's sort of what we noticed that a lot of other projects are doing. They say, hey, bring us your money, invest your money. We say, hey, bring us your time, bring us your skills. Just join our community, because you're just being a person as part of this community is valuable. One of the things we haven't talked about here, which is probably one of the more innovative economic concepts, is that Steem doesn't have any transaction fees. It's the only blockchain that we're aware of that has no transaction fees and is as robust or complex in terms of the transactions supported.
How are you preventing spam on your platform then if you have no TX fee? Like there's no cost to post.
Yes, well, we kind of view it like sharing internet bandwidth. The blockchain has a certain amount of bandwidth that it's able to support, and when you own Steem, you own a share of that available bandwidth. And
part of it's like this, a lot of blockchains have been designed sort of as banks, where every action you take with that bank, you pay a transaction fee. And the approach that we took, it was more the idea that we could build a sort of a unionized platform or a credit union model, or even a country club model, where if you've paid up front, if you paid your dues up front and you hold Steem, you're completely entitled to use the services within the blockchain.
Proportional to how much you own. If you own more Steem, you can consume more bandwidth using transactions, and it automatically regulates to make sure that the rate at which you can transact is fair. So if someone can try to spam the network will automatically respond and rate limit them, throttle them down to the point that they can't transact as frequently. We know that most people aren't actually trying to spam the network, and their usage falls within what we would consider fair usage. So there's no reason to charge transactions. In fact, every single transaction on the network is bringing value to the network. We almost want to pay people to transact. We don't want to do that literally, because then people would spam just to earn the money. But at the very least, you don't want to charge people for using things. The other thing we realized is you can't build an application like what we're doing if you're charging people transaction fees. So it's really not just a nice-to-have feature, but the fundamental enabling technology behind Steem.
Oh man, we're just buzzing here. Two of my friends here, I gave them some Bitcoin, and they're right away like, man, I should probably get on Steem and make some more Bitcoin, or make some buy some Steem and get more voting power. They're already like, oh man, we got to get on this platform. We actually got some really good comments too here in the live chat. Jacob Easter, Eagle, yeah, Easter. Why are some posts getting $1,500 plus, but a few days ago? Or why are they getting them $1,500 plus a few days ago, but now barely $500? So I think you touched on this, but
this has to do with the quantity of posts, right? There's a constant rate at which things are being produced, but we had 600 users sign up today, 300 yesterday. So literally in the past couple days, we've had 1,000 plus new users join, record number of posts in there. So the funds are getting dispersed. So the profitability is kind of like mining. You used to be able to mine a Bitcoin on the CPU. Right? You used to be able to get a $100 post with a introduce yourself. But now, as competition's increasing, it's harder to get the higher value payouts, and it's being distributed to more people. So instead of one post getting $2,000, you've got 4 posts getting $500.
Craig says he understands as well. I hope Jacob Easter says he understands as well. Decontrol, do you guys have any more questions? You're our more technical savvy experts here. Our Redditors are kind of running low. They're already signing up.
Where do you see that price floor going to as more people sign up and it just gets lower and lower? Is it still going to be worth, participating in the system if you're only going to get a few cents?
Oh, it works just like Bitcoin. The more people that join, eventually the market cap rises as the network effect grows, as more speculators enter the market and think it's going to be a valuable currency in the future. So it's like it's a virtuous cycle. People create the market cap that allows it to scale. At Bitcoin scale, if we had a $10 billion market cap and more users than Bitcoin has, then we'd be giving away $17 million a day to posts, which means even though there'd be more posts, you'd still have high-value posts. You'll probably see something very similar to what we see going on in Bitcoin, where difficulty spikes. Some people drop off because it's no longer profitable, but some people stay. The market cap eventually catches up with the growth. Profitability rises again. You're going to have bubbles and so on. So the profitability of being engaged in the platform will change from day to day, but the general trend is if we can grow the community, the user base, the network effect by more services being built on top of Steem, then the market cap will keep up and the money will keep flowing.
Very well said, yeah. I think there's a lot of similarities to be drawn here with the early days of Bitcoin. So one of the questions was actually where is Joshua Bao? I hope I'm not pronouncing that wrong. Of Clubcoin, and he was supposed to come on the show because I think he really likes your platform too, as well as a lot of people. But he has a very good reason for missing the show. He now has a happy new baby boy, Tyson. So welcome into the world, Tyson. Thanks, Josh. We'll have you on the show very soon. But we hope everything's going well with you and your new family member. Shout out that. Craig, any shout outs? You want to say hi to your mom or anything? No. Decontrol, any further questions? Or maybe I can start digging into the SteemIt posts that we have here.
The customer here who was potentially paying $17 million a day or whatever you said it could get to.
What's the question?
Who's putting the money into this system rather than taking it out?
Right. So it really comes down to where does value appear in crypto in general, right? And a big part of that is speculation capital. And each person that comes to a crypto project brings a little bit of it, right? And so what that does is it correlates the value of a crypto token with the size of the community. So the hypothesis here is if you grow a community, you grow the value of the token. That's what we've seen in other cryptocurrencies. So when Dan said $10 billion, what he's really talking about is a much larger community, like the community the size of Bitcoin's.
And the other thing to consider here is the market cap of Bitcoin is not representative of the actual amount of value that's being created. If you tried to sell all Bitcoins today, you would not get $10 billion for it. So it's really the marginal trades that establish the perceived value of the entire ecosystem. The way we've constructed Steem, it encourages most people to keep their money in the system. They get Steem dollars, so they don't feel like they need to cash out. They're getting interest on their Steem dollars, so they stay in the system.
Right.
So even though we distribute tokens that have a notional value, the actual amount of sell pressure or buy pressure required to support it is a fraction
right.
of what's handed out.
And there's also a new element here, a new element of access and influence. So it's the idea that you have to hold Steem power in order to have voting influence. In order to be able to promote your post and to reward other posts, you have to hold it. You have to hoard it. And because of that, it creates demand because people want to participate. They want to be able to reward themselves. They want to be able to control the platform. So it's a tool, it's a product, it's not, you know, it's not money like Bitcoin. It's a different niche. It's more, you know, it's access, it's influence.
Do you guys see, I guess, advertisers needing to buy a lot of Steam to maybe manipulate their posts and everything? Is that kind of going to be something going on here? Is sponsored posts are now part of it?
Well, we've seen, you know, a couple publishers show up and make real, you know, real announcements about their, you know, appearances. So we've got, you know, Brave New Coin, and we've got DashPay Magazine, you know, all showing up and saying, hey, you know, we're presenting our SteemIt's strategy. You know, we think that we can put content here and promote, you know, our publishing platforms and, you know, make it a real nice marriage. And so with that, I think we're starting to see more of those business elements. And, you know, today I had a call, someone said, hey, like, how do I promote something to the top of SteemIt? So the demand is there. But we really respect the idea that this is a community platform. That's what we've set out to build. And with advertising, we're starting to realize, you know, there's a way to monetize here without third-party advertising. There's a way to do it where, you know, if people want to promote something, it's community-driven. And that's what we think will, you know, allow the platform to take in even more capital and, you know, empower the users who are participating. As far as the advertisers, I think that there will be demand. I think that we'll have to, you know, we'll find a way to make it work.
You'll find advertisers might just buy some Steam so they could upvote any post talking about their product, right? And it's sort of this influence over the market incentives. People say, hey, if I start posting about this product or this project, I'm guaranteed a few votes from them. And you know, that will work as long as it doesn't get flagged as abusive, in which case you get counter votes that will negate it. But it's kind of like product placement in TV shows. It's not overt in your face advertising. It's more of a
right. And from a user perspective, you know, if you're a holder of Steam, you're saying, well, you know what, if Coke wants to show up and buy voting power to promote posts, well, they just boosted the market cap. That's great. You know, I'm totally on board for that. You know, because it's really about growing the community for the people who find value in it, and you know, everyone can appreciate that.
Can you talk a bit about the user size, like how many sort of monthly active users, or how big is this platform?
Yeah, so there's a site, there's an entrepreneur who built a statistics site for us called SteemIt's.com. It's SteemIt's.com. And it's a terrific little site that shows activity, it shows transactions per day, it shows signups per day. All this data is public. So as far as usage numbers, you know, we're seeing...
We've seen steady growth. The past couple of days, we've probably added 2,000 users just this week. And that number, it's got an exponential curve because people show up, they have a positive experience, they go invite 2 more people to show up. So the vast majority of the stake is actually active because we can look at it. I think something like 40% of all stake has been active in the past day. And if you go to like larger, so large percentage of the stake is active and engaged on the platform.
What's that URL again? Sorry, this is probably the 3rd time you've said it, but I really want to pull it up.
SteemIt's, SteemIt's.com.
Did you get that, Alex?
SteemIt's? Okay.
Yes. SteemIt's, play on Steam.
Okay, I think I got it. I'll pull it up, but meantime, can you guys tell us about what's maybe gonna in the future for it? Like one thing I kind of see is something tied in with like maybe YouTube videos and stuff. I hate to use this buzzword, but smart contracts. Do you guys have anything of like, oh, you made X amount of views and or you got X amount of upvotes, you get now an additional payout because you have public pay or something like. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, do you guys have a smart contract somehow involved?
We've got a large roadmap, and I posted a little bit about it on Steam a couple of days ago. But the idea is to bootstrap social media. We've got users, they've got money in the pockets, and the next step is to commerce on the same platform, use their Steam dollars for actual money. and that's probably the next phase. Obviously, Steem is capable of doing side chains, sub chains, smart contracts. Those things are possible, but we really believe that the growth and the value is to stick on one thing, the social media aspect, and grow that. That's the major use case. These other smart contract use cases, those are a couple of years out for the entire industry. People are still trying to figure it out.
Sorry, I keep muting Decontrol, but I'm sure they have another excellent question for you guys.
Go now.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering, would it be fair to characterize your platform as exchanging influence for pull marketing? Would that be reasonable?
I had a hard time. Could you repeat it?
Oh, hold on. I'll
Okay,
come
closer to the
webcam, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Would it be fair to say that you are exchanging influence for pull marketing? In other words, you're using the fact that people want you to bring messages to them, and in return, you're sort of incentivizing them to see things your way in return for a payment. Would that be correct?
Yes, that's a way of looking at it.
Any influence?
Oh, sorry, I muted them accidentally.
I was just asking, is there any influence from LTB coin for this project? It's the Let's Talk Bitcoin coin.
Oh yeah, so we know Adam B. Levine, really well. He's advised me quite a bit on this project, and Dan knows him really well too. Yeah, they've been a major influence. It's a terrific platform. The work that Adam does is really amazing.
I talked with him in the early days of LTB coin, and we're still trying to conceive it. And it's a really challenging problem that we were constantly trying to figure out. How do you create a token and reward user contribution to sites? And he really sort of pioneered it with his platform. And we learned a lot of things, and hopefully with Steem can take it to a new level. I see you've got some nice charts down there.
I'm really glad I pulled up this site because every one of these charts is kind of showing a similar pattern, except for maybe transfers per day. There's a lot of transfers earlier on, but we're seeing a lot of spikes here. Account creation per day, we're up to like 500 per day. Votes per day is just peaking at 15K. Proof of works per day, that's steady. Edits per day, okay, yeah, that's just posts per day. All of these are spiking in the last like 3 days since that payout period. So it seems like that article I read about, you guys gave out like $1.3 million. I think that was the 4th of July that happened. The network's showing a lot more strength after that payout period.
Yeah, I think confidence went up. I think people really started to believe. Testimonials came out. People were saying, "I've really made money writing a random blog post." They were thrilled and so enjoyed by the idea that it was legit.
People bought new computers. They paid off debts. They did things that they never thought possible. It really changed their lives. And so as a result, people say, hey, since this works, I'm going to move my entire blog here first, and then repost on Medium, repost on Reddit.
We have people, dedicating themselves to this. I was on the phone with someone in Germany today who's a student. He says, you know what, I'm turning down my internship. I'm going to do SteemIt full-time this summer. And I said, that's amazing. That's great. And then today, again, I had
That's crazy is what I would say.
It might be a little crazy, but
a little crazy. You gotta.
But a woman contacted me and she said, I'm going to be a SteemIt blogger. That's going to be my title on LinkedIn. And then another person did that, and then another person. People really see potential for themselves in this platform, and other people are taking notice.
Well, let's talk about actually maybe probably a better competitor than what Reddit is. one thing that a lot of content creators use is a site called Patreon. It's kind of like, and this is why I mentioned the smart contracts before. You make a video, you get paid a certain amount per video based on your Patreon subscribers. They link their credit card, they get a payout. It's pretty steady. That's why I think it'd be really interesting to see a subscription model built on this. Yeah.
So yeah, there's huge potential. Eventually users are the people who end up with the control because it's blockchain based. And if you're a great content creator, you'll be able to do all sorts of things. Whether it's create a subscription for your content, put up a paywall. It's the users who end up with that control.
Yeah.
We're only scratching the surface.
We've got tipping. You can tip users. The reality is Patreon. You're subscribing to their content. You're giving them steady payment every single day. But here, you don't have to sign up your credit card. You don't have to give your personal information. You just follow their feed, and every time they post, you vote. And if you got a lot of followers who follow you, and they vote every time you post something, and it's actually good stuff, so you don't have downvotes coming from outside the community, then you're going to have a steady stream of income that your followers, they don't have to get out their credit cards. They just vote. And that makes a huge difference. And the more influential people you have following you, the more you can make.
Well, I mean, now that Coinbase accepts, credit cards, so anyone can, use their $3,000 in credit card credit to buy Bitcoin and now buy Steem. You can kind of do it with your credit card. It's a little bit of a roundabout way. Geez, we're getting pretty close. I like to keep these things at an hour and 20 minutes, but I would love to hear if any Deep Control has any more questions, as you guys probably do. Yeah, they're muted though. I keep muting them. Sorry, echo. No?
I don't know, this might be a little off topic, but just curious, Daniel, I didn't know you were involved with SteemIt. Are you still working with BitShares? And I'm also just curious, how is BitUSD staying steady? Is it stable still?
BitShares, BitUSD are functioning just fine. The BitShares protocol is stable. My role has been more of a back-end developer. I've started working on Steem because BitShares needed stability, and there are things that we wanted to try that just were not compatible with the BitShares network. So we're sort of allowing the BitShares network to stabilize, kind of like Bitcoin. Having a feature freeze for BitShares has actually been good. It's allowed greater predictability. The market cap of BitShares has stabilized and even grown since I've been working on Steem full time. So I think BitShares is a huge success. It's an example of bootstrapping a community and a project that is now up and running on its own. It's no longer like under my control. I'm not managing it on a day-to-day basis like I used to. So it's really grown up and is mature as its place in the world, and just needs to find the right people to use it. So Steem is targeting a different market. It's testing different economic theories than the ones that were in BitShares. And so yes, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, cool. What I want you to know is it safe to say that we created a way for someone starting with very little influence to build a community of fellow influencers? In other words, there's a cooperativity involved there.
Oh, absolutely. When you come to the platform, when you start putting information out there and you start voting, you're developing relationships and you're developing your own reputation. And it's through functions that you see on other platforms like following, like on Twitter you have all these followers. So that it's the same sort of thing that develops your community of influencers on SteemIt. And the more successful at that you can be, the more potential earning power you have, really.
Okay, we got this is a quick question. Why is it called Steem?
You go for it.
All right. Steem comes from the word esteem, which means to value. So
it also reminded us, of steam power and trains, and one thing we learned early on was how the idea of steam trains influenced, idioms in the English language, like, oh, hey, this conversation is picking up steam, or, this conversation is getting off track. So we had this sort of train and steam theme going, and,
yeah, it works. So it has
a good verb. I'll say that. Like Craig was just asking, why didn't you just call it esteem? But I think the likening to steam, like steam power, and the Industrial Revolution and all that fun stuff, blockchains, being the new Industrial Revolution. Shut up, Craig.
It also has the benefit of being a word that wasn't heavily used before. So esteem is out there, but steam.
I must comment, though, when I search for anything related to Steam with two E's, Google autocorrects to Steam with EA. And
From Valve.
Yeah,
Well,
from Valve. You got a bit of a fight there.
Well, we're going with SteemIt. That's really the brand we're building for the site that we have for this business. Steam with two E's is the blockchain platform, but the consumer brand, the business we're building, is SteemIt. And to us, that's unique, and it's an action. It's a button. Imagine you're on your WordPress blog, and you didn't want to migrate to SteemIt.com. You continue posting, on alexsturk.com, and to get your post onto the Steam blockchain, you Steem it. It's a button. It's the pin it button. It's another
Okay, just to clarify, Steemit is the vernacular you're going for, similar to Reddit, or instead of being Red. Actually, there was another platform that didn't do so well. It was called Red, R3D. The guys had good intentions, but, it just wasn't well incentivized. So you're not the first to come up with this idea, but I think Steemit, whatever you want to call it, Steemit, you're definitely, I think, a solid competitor for Reddit. One question I've gotten a couple times here is, do you have a referral program you're going to put in place, or anything to that regard?
We have the potential for it. We have big potential for it.
You kind of have a built-in referral system. You refer your friends, they sign up, they get free Steam, they can start voting on your stuff. So refer people to the platform and bring more people in.
So PayPal, early days did its $5 sign-up program, which was pretty, wildly successful. We do have the potential to do something like that. And back to our conversation about, growing the community is growing the market cap. That's one of the strategies we've thought about employing. Is, let's build in this referral program, grow the community, and we'll see the value of the community increase. So it's something that we're highly, we're looking at. And we want to do. We have, a little ways to go before an actual referral program is implemented, but it's certainly something, we're thinking about a lot.
And we need to get out of beta and make sure we've got sufficient protections to prevent abuse.
Here's one, I guess, more involved with the actual functionality of the network. Why does SteemIt decide to have a 24-hour cutoff for late curators? Content producers realize that late votes still count, but will also realize that there is no incentives for a curator to vote late. As a result, a post which is discovered too late might not get many votes on, and even if it's greatly valued.
We have to carefully balance things, allowing people to get votes for voting on things that are no longer in the attention. You kind of have to view all of SteemIt as this giant eye of where are all the users looking, and if you can vote on things that people aren't looking at, you're not being held accountable. And so we don't want to have perverse incentives that cause abuse. And we kind of want to focus everyone's attention on curating and filtering what's there today. So we're constantly looking at things, but if we're doing something a certain way, there's usually some type of attack vector that we're trying to mitigate against. We're trying to be conservative on these things. This is all an experiment, and we're tweaking things as we learn. People figured out how to game one system, so we have to tweak it to make sure that it stays fair. But yeah, that's why it is how it is.
Yeah, I think timing is going to be a big part of this whole platform. You guys kind of have your time set in, in stone, I guess, of how you're going to do it. But are you guys thinking about doing any changes to like how those rules are? Do you need a hard fork to do those rules, or is it fairly easy to kind of implement new?
There's huge value in consistency, especially as people show up and begin to act in certain ways. So as much as we can, we don't encourage change. I think Dan alluded to the idea that if someone approaches the platform in a way that makes things unfair, then the community probably wants to reconsider how those rules work. But that's a community interest topic, and that's when we get to these potential forks. A lot of them, would be.
Any changes to the code are done through voting of the stakeholders, if it comes down to it. But we really try to avoid anything that would change the incentive structure for things, unless there is significant abuse. You have to look at the system as a whole. People value it because they think it's fair. If they perceive something as being unfair, the value for everyone falls. And so as a community, the goal is to work together to reward those who provide value. And if someone is getting rewards disproportional to the value they're providing, and consistently doing so, then that's going to undermine the platform. So. But our goal is to stabilize a set of rules that are robust. It's kind of like tweaking the rules of a game until you get the defense and attack weights all just right to make sure that the game is balanced for all the different strategies that people might employ. But once we're out of beta, those things are probably going to be locked down and pretty stable.
Cool. So any final questions, I guess, from D-Control? I kind of got a couple of the SteemIt questions that we got before on it, but man, this has been action-packed. We've got a lot of really good questions through the show here.
I do have a quick one because it was more or less covered. Where am I? Yeah, hi. I was more or less covered by that last one, but it seems like it was only answered in terms of fairness. Could you also approach it from the perspective of content? So, because I mean, the analogy I'm drawing to is to Reddit, and obviously Reddit right now is very much embroiled in the whole concept of content, not in terms of the fairness of posting, but in terms of its moral and ethical appropriateness. You guys have a meat space presence, so therefore that would be an issue for hard forking, would it not? I mean, regardless of whether it's fair or representative of the community.
Well, we're talking about censorship, I feel like, right?
Yeah, it just sounds like censorship.
So as far as censorship goes, we're anti-censorship, and that's the whole nature of being in the blockchain. As far as hard forking for changes, I don't think that necessarily compromises any of the ability to post or delete content.
Right. Any hard forks would only change future rules of things that gets posted. We don't go back in time. There's no sense in going back in time. It's already been broadcast. It's already distributed all over the world. Hard fork is not going to delete content, and the blockchain is actually completely neutral to content. The content that you put in your post is not even evaluated, and it's not even required to be kept in memory or anything like that for the validated nodes. That's only there as meta information used by the people in SteemIt.com to display it. So SteemIt can take things down if we're forced to. Obviously, we have a preference to not take anything down and just let everyone say this stuff in their own space, and to provide tools to allow people to see what they want to see and not see what they don't want to see. But we don't want to be the content police if we can help it.
Yeah, I know you guys definitely filtered a lot of questions here. Any last ones from D-Control? Otherwise, we have our prediction market we do at the end of every show here that we got to get to.
Yeah, I think we're ready for that.
All right. No, this has been a great show. I think we got some really. I'm really impressed with the platform. I don't know, maybe Decontrol, see some nods there. There's definitely something to be said of what you guys built here. Yeah, for sure. And you know what? I'm happy to created an account on SteemIt. So yeah, we'll get to that short enough here. But let's get on to the main event. Let me share my screen here. Because we saw some excellent charts earlier, but we got the one chart that we all should be looking at. No, sorry, that's my SteemIt profile there. But let's guess what the Bitcoin price is going to be in a week's time. So this is something we do every show, and you know, in a week's time, I'll tweet out a chart about who was most correct. Craig, are you pointing to the roof because you're saying it's going to the moon?
Going to the roof.
It's going to the roof. Such a limitation. Ned, what do you think the Bitcoin price is going to be next Friday at 10 p.m. Pacific or Eastern Standard Time?
I'm going to say 710.
710. All right, Dan.
650.
650. All right, let's go to Decontrol. Taylor, you got a guess?
Well, the halving is happening, so 10,000. 10,000
The halving. Oh yeah. Right now. Oh, man.
This price is
We are 8 blocks. So you're gonna put 10,000. All right, that's realistic. Kiko.
650. I'm a little bearish. People get disillusioned after these sell the rumor, sell the news rather.
Oh, so you're gonna go with Dan and say 650 as well, right?
615. Sorry, 15.
615. Okay. Excuse me. Cameron, I saw you there. What's going on?
Yeah, I'm gonna say 10,001.
Price is right. Yeah. Do it. Craig, what do you think? Oh, my mistake. Okay, Craig, my Redditor buddy here, who had some excellent questions tonight. What do you say Bitcoin is going to be in a week's time?
10,002.
All right, Cameron, you're screwed, bud. Scott, you want to make a guess? No? Dustin, yeah. All right, 620 from Dustin, okay. 620, I like it. I'm gonna be the most bear, and I'm gonna say we're gonna probably dip back into the 500s and say 525. Yeah, I'll say 525. Probably could tighten that down a little bit, but you know what? Everyone's feeling pretty bullish about the 10,000.
One more, 649.
Sorry, what name is that under?
Gavin, 649.
Gavin? Oh, and Darren, you're there too. Okay. So 649 from Gavin. 649. I like this, though. We're going to get a really good spread of what the value is going to be next week. Darren, what are you saying?
Go 550.
550. All right. Any other late guests there?
I was going with Steam. I played the fundamentals. I don't play technicals.
Oh. So what are the fundamentals saying? You got it?
You guys are putting way too much thought into this. All right.
Yeah, I think that's all we got over here.
All right, that's good. I like that. This is gonna be a good chart. I'm gonna have to, maybe use the log scale on this one. But this has been a great show. Like Ned, Dan, you guys have been awesome. Thank you so much for letting us, drill you with questions. And I look forward to having you guys on the show in the near future here. Maybe talking about, whatever app you guys come up with to host the platform.
All right.
Thank you for having us. It's great talking to you all.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Really enjoyed it.
And Decontrol, yeah, thanks for tuning in. We got our little exit credit reel going here. But, yeah, you guys had some excellent questions as well. And, anyways, I'm off Stirk. This has been Blocktalk. And follow us on blocktalk.info. There'll probably be a Steam It voting page there soon on how to do, everything else. So check out Blocktalk on Twitter. Craig, you wrote that down wrong. It's supposed to be block_talk. And the SteemIt.com link is right too. Yeah, there you go. That's the Twitter handle there, Blocktalk and Steam It. Anyways, thanks for doing that, Craig. It was good. I like the production value. Anyway, see you in the next 1,000 blocks or maybe the next halvening, 2020. This has been great, tuning out. Bye.